Children are both my happiness and my constant pain. I love them more than life itself, but sometimes it feels like I'm suffocating from all the chaos, endless worries, anxieties, and exhaustion. I have 4. The oldest, Eric, is 15, and honestly, he's hardly a child anymore. He's always out with friends, and at home, all he does is brush me off with a word every time I try to talk to him. The twins, Emily and Vince, are 10. One moment they adore each other, and the next, they're in a full-on fight. And the noise they make, there's always so much of it, my head sometimes aches. Then there's the youngest, Lauren, only 3. She's my little sunshine, but she always needs my attention, my care, constantly. And then there's my husband, Tom. He used to be everything to me. I once thought our marriage was forever, but now, I don't know. I still love him, but that love isn't pure anymore. It's mixed with pain, resentment, disappointment. He's home less and less, claiming he's swamped with work. I know that's a lie. There's another woman. I found out by accident, though. I probably knew all along. Women's intuition. It's a cruel thing. One day, while doing his laundry, I found a strange hairbrush in the pocket of his coat. It had a long, light-colored hair on it. My hair is dark and definitely not that long. I didn't say anything. I just put it back, pretending nothing had happened. And that night, while everyone was asleep, I cried. I muffled my sobs into my pillow so I wouldn't wake the kids. It's been a year since then. A whole year. I pretend everything's fine, though inside it feels like I'm being torn apart. And Tom pretends nothing's changed. We're like actors on a stage, smiling, pretending to be a happy family for the kids, for their peace of mind, so no one would suspect anything. But I feel like our marriage is falling apart at the seams, and these seams aren't ones that can be stitched back together. Sometimes I imagine just leaving, taking the kids and starting a new life somewhere. A life without lies, without this burden of betrayal. But where would I go with 4 kids? What would I feed them? Could I give them everything they need? And could I really take their father away from them, no matter who he is? So I stay. I stay silent. I smile. I endure. For the kids. Only for them. Today I thought about all of this again, while standing in front of the mirror. My reflection doesn't look happy anymore, like it used to. I turn away and sigh. It's time to make dinner. Soon the kids will be home from school, hungry. I go down to the kitchen, peel potatoes, start the soup, cut up the salad, all on autopilot. But my mind keeps drifting back to Tom, to the hairbrush, to his betrayal. Why is he doing this to us? Did I deserve this? I keep thinking over and over that maybe it's my fault. After Lauren was born, I changed. I don't have the same lightness I had before. I've gained weight. I always look tired. My time and energy go to the kids, the house, the daily tasks. Tom is still a young, attractive man, successful, confident. Maybe he needs someone different. Maybe he wants a glamorous woman to adorn his life, not someone who's drowned in the monotony of everyday life. While I was turning these thoughts over in my mind, the doorbell rang. It was the neighbor, a woman I've had a friendly relationship with for years. She was holding a bag of apples from her garden. She came in for tea, as she occasionally does, to chat and catch up. I tried to be hospitable, but I struggled to keep up with the conversation. She talked about her grandchildren, how she'd recently visited them, complained about her health, asked about my kids, how they were doing in school, what they were up to. I gave short, one-word answers, still lost in my own thoughts. At some point, the conversation turned to Tom. That's when everything inside me tightened. Apparently, Someone had seen him with a woman, a blonde, and now those rumors were circulating around the neighborhood. I tried to keep my composure, assuring her it must be a mistake, that no one could have seen Tom in that way. But deep down, the pain pierced through me. Shame and humiliation washed over me. Even if it's true, even if my suspicions were confirmed, I couldn't bear the thought that this had become gossip for everyone around me. When the neighbor left, I was alone again, feeling like I was being torn apart from within. The rumors, the glances, the whispers behind my back. This was the last thing I wanted. But was it worse than the truth that had been haunting me all this time? Later, when the house was quiet, I decided I had to talk to him. I couldn't stand this uncertainty anymore. Tom came home late, as usual. I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by silence. Inside, everything burned with pain and fear. I knew this conversation was going to be a turning point. That, after it, nothing would be the same. When he walked in, I looked at him, feeling a wave of determination and fear rise within me. We both knew this conversation was inevitable. His gaze became wary, as if he sensed the tension in the air. I took a deep breath and finally said everything that had been eating away at me from the inside. About his other life. About the woman who had come between us. His reaction was silent. He didn't deny it, didn't try to justify himself. He simply looked away, as if acknowledging that it was all true. His shoulders slumped under the weight of his confession. On his face, I saw the one thing I had feared most. Not anger, not remorse, but helpless resignation. He quietly said that he hadn't wanted me to find out, that he hadn't wanted to hurt me, but it no longer mattered. The pain was already here. It filled the space between us, pushing out the remnants of trust, warmth, and the love that once bound us. I asked him why he needed this other woman, but he simply shrugged. It just happened, he said, as if it were not his responsibility, but a random event he couldn't control. I tried to find in him the person I once loved, the one I had shared my life with, but his words, about how he was confused, how he didn't know what to do, sounded like a verdict. He couldn't or didn't want to choose, family or her, the life we had built together, or something new, something that had drawn him in. This decision should have been his, but it seemed like he was avoiding making it. When the conversation ended, he went to sleep in the living room. I stayed in the kitchen, surrounded by silence that rang in my ears. I sat at the table, holding my face in my hands, and tears streamed uncontrollably. It felt like with each tear, a piece of the strength I had clung to for all these years was slipping away. I didn't know what would happen next. Would I be able to forgive? Could I trust again? Could I live with this knowledge? The only thing I knew for sure was that, for the sake of the kids, I was ready to fight until the end. I wanted to believe that somewhere deep inside, there was still something real between us. The love that once made us choose each other. But now it seemed so distant, almost ghostly. A few months had passed since that difficult conversation, and although outwardly our life continued as usual, everything had changed inside. Between Tom and me, an invisible wall had grown, made of distrust, pain, and bitterness. We kept up the appearance of a normal family. He worked, the kids went to school, and I took care of the house. But every morning began and ended with the feeling of emptiness. Tom started coming home less and less. Sometimes he wouldn't even stay the night, finding excuses like urgent work or unforeseen circumstances. I pretended to believe him, but inside, the pain tore at me. His indifference and detachment were increasingly affecting the kids. Eric, our oldest, became even more withdrawn and irritable. The twins, Emily and Vince, fought nearly nonstop. And little Lauren woke up at night, crying quietly, calling for her daddy. Every day felt like a battle with myself. I tried to hold on for the kids, but the exhausting insomnia, constant thoughts about Tom, and fear for the future drained the last of my strength. In the mirror, I saw a woman with tired eyes and wrinkles I hadn't noticed before. Can anyone be held with a face like this? Is it any wonder he chose someone else? I thought, staring at my reflection. One evening, while tucking Lauren into bed, I heard her soft whisper, "Daddy, please come back. We love you." Those words cut through me like a knife. I realized that this couldn't continue. For the kids, for us, something had to change. The next morning, I made an appointment with a family therapist. It wasn't easy to admit that we couldn't fix this on our own, but I knew that without help, we would destroy what little was left of our family. The first session was a trial. Tom and I sat on opposite sides of the room, avoiding eye contact, struggling to find the right words. But with each meeting, the ice began to melt. We slowly learned to talk about our feelings and experiences, to admit our mistakes and listen to each other. It turned out that our problems went far back. Tom admitted that he had felt unnecessary for a long time, like his role in the family had boiled down to just earning money. He felt like I no longer saw him as a man. And I, in turn, shared my exhaustion, how much I had missed his support and attention. We both realized that we had long stopped being partners. Gradually, things began to change. Tom started spending more time at home, helping with the kids, doing little chores around the house. I, in turn, decided to take better care of myself. I joined a gym, updated my wardrobe, and spent more time on my hobbies. Together, we started having family nights, cooking dinner, playing with the kids, watching movies. It wasn't an easy path. We stumbled, argued, sometimes wanted to give up and return to our old, though unhappy life. But each time, we reminded ourselves why we were doing it. For the kids. For us. The real turning point came when we decided to spend a weekend alone, just the two of us, for the first time in many years. We left the kids with my mother and went to a small hotel by the lake. 2 days, away from the daily hustle and worries, allowed us to see each other in a new light. In the silence and calm, surrounded by nature, we began to remember why we had chosen each other in the first place. Those 2 days became the beginning of something new, fragile but real. That evening, by the lake, I felt something shift. We walked for a long time under the soft light of the stars, listening to the rustling autumn leaves beneath our feet. Tom held my hand, just like he had when we first started dating. That simple gesture reminded me of the times when everything between us had felt so easy. At some point, he stopped. His hand trembled slightly, and he turned to me. There was something new in his gaze, a mix of determination and genuine remorse that I hadn't seen in so long. I froze, feeling my heart tighten in anticipation. His words were unexpected. He confessed that everything had ended with that woman, months ago, that he realized real love had always been here, right beside us, in our home. He said he loved me and asked for forgiveness, quietly, so sincerely that I felt the full weight of those words. I couldn't answer. Tears rolled down my cheeks. The only thing I could do was hug him. We stood there in the night silence, feeling our hearts begin to beat in unison once again. That night, we talked for hours. About us, about the kids, about how far we'd come in our resentment and misunderstandings. For the first time in a long time, we were brutally honest with each other. It was a painful but necessary conversation, like the first step on a long journey. The next morning, I woke to a gentle touch. Tom was standing there with a cup of coffee and that same smile that had once made me fall in love with him. He said he was happy that I was still with him. I smiled back, feeling real joy for the first time in a long while. When we returned home, we knew we had to be honest with the kids. It was hard. Eric didn't hide his anger. Emily and Vince were confused, and little Lauren cried, clinging to both of us. We answered their questions, explaining how important it was to keep our family together. Slowly, the tension started to fade, and laughter returned to our home. The little things we'd once taken for granted were once again part of our life. We started over. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, hurts, moments when it seemed easier to give up, but I saw how hard Tom was trying, how he spent more time with the kids, how he supported me, how he was learning to be a husband and father again. That gave me the strength to change too. Now, a year later, our family is strong again. We're still working on ourselves, but there's no longer that heavy silence in our home that used to weigh down on everyone. When I look in the mirror, I don't see a tired, worn-out woman, but myself, the person I've always wanted to be. There's laughter in the kitchen. Tom and the twins are making lunch, and Eric is playing with Lauren in the living room. It's just an ordinary Sunday, but for me, it symbolizes everything we've managed to achieve. Life isn't always easy. Sometimes it throws us into the darkest storm. But if you don't give up, if you hold on to the hand of the person you love, you can find the road to the light. Now I know that true love is not just a feeling, but a choice we make every day. Do you think it's possible to fully restore trust in a relationship after such a crisis? Or do the scars remain forever, even if love helps you move forward?
I rarely share anything personal, but today I feel like I need to speak up. Maybe someone will understand or perhaps even offer some advice. I had a girlfriend, my first and probably my only real one in the truest sense of the word. We met when I was 18 and she was 2. I'd never been in a serious relationship before, just some fleeting stupid things, drunken kisses at parties that I'm embarrassed to even remember. But with her, it was different. She instantly became everything to me. My princess, my dream, my reason for living. We met by chance. A mutual friend gave me a ride home after class and picked her up from her part-time job. And that was it. I was hit, instantly. She was special. You know, the kind of person who gets into your soul the moment you meet them. We started dating. At first, everything was romantic, like in the movies. Walks until morning, first confessions, the starry sky under which you swear you'll always be there for each other. 6 months later, we moved in together. Yes, it was hard. I was balancing school and work to pay for the rent, and she was helping as much as she could. We made plans, dreamed of moving to a big city, traveled together, and I was sure this was forever. I saw her as the one with whom I wanted to spend my whole life. My friends laughed, while they were changing girlfriends like gloves, some 5 or 6 a year, others acting like they were in a bad soap opera. I was happy with my one and only, my beloved, my family. But everything changed, slowly. At first I didn't even notice, just little things. Like one day she suddenly went to a club, even though we never really liked those places. I didn't forbid her, of course. I sometimes went with her just to be near her. Then came the late hours at work. She got a new job, became a manager, and I chalked it up to her being busy. She must be tired, I thought. It's normal. But one day, on my way home from work, I saw her on the street with some guy. They were walking together, laughing. My heart sank. I didn't stay silent. She said he was just a colleague, and I probably wanted to believe her. I loved her. Still do, honestly. But a month later, I made an important decision. I bought a ring, took her to our favorite spot, the one where we had spent so many happy hours, and proposed. And she told me she didn't love me, that she was leaving, for that same guy. What I felt then I can't even describe. Emptiness, pain. All my life, all my dreams crumbled in an instant. She moved back in with her mom. Her new guy couldn't afford an apartment, and I, like the fool I was, tried to win her back. I chased after her, humiliated myself. Yes, I'm ashamed to remember it, but that's the truth. And you know what? It worked. A few months later, she came back. She said she had made a mistake, and I took her back. With joy, with relief. At the time, it seemed like I had won something important. We were together again. But it wasn't the same anymore. She had become distant, cold, and 6 months later, she left again. Back to him. I didn't call or text her anymore. One time I arranged to meet him just to look him in the eyes, and I left, saying nothing. It was hard, but I understood. Continuing to fight was pointless. How did I get through that time? I saved myself with the gym and PlayStation, just to distract myself. I didn't have any other joys. Since then, silence. I'm 27 now. I still haven't been able to find anyone. Not that I've really tried. One day I decided to give it a shot, with an escort. It was awful. I literally felt sick. And it wasn't even her. It was all in my head. I still love her. 2 years have passed. On my last birthday she called. She wished me well. Said she regretted it. That she wished she could go back, but she couldn't, because she felt ashamed. I didn't respond. Probably because I don't know what I feel anymore. To all my friends, she just left. No one knows the details. I've never told them how I humiliated myself, how I tried to get her back. To them I seemed strong, but that's a lie. Now, I wonder, maybe it's me. Was it wrong to take her back? Or should I have kept my composure and just let go? Maybe now I'm locking myself in a cage of my love for the past. What do you think? Was I wrong? Is it worth fighting for a relationship that destroys you?